Hello everybody, GamerZ here back with another rebuttal video. Today we are dealing with TheRatedD. Again. But this time he's saying that the biggest problem with PC gaming is... And I'll leave it at that, because, cliffhangers and shit. Alright, well this has been a short intro. Let's just dive right into the madness. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. Let me guess. You're TheRatedD, and you've been tested positive for swag.
What's going on, guys? I'm RatedD, and I've tested positive for swag.
On the money.
Now, in this video, I want to talk about the biggest problem that I see right now with PC gaming, and this is something that the fanboys do not want to admit, so I'm already preparing for all those dislikes.
I'm going to stop the video real quick and just explain the trick that he's using to keep his followers to agree with him, okay? He's using something called focalism, or as the common folks say, it's anchoring, or anchoring bias. And basically this is a cognitive bias that when they watch this video, a neutral person perhaps, they're going to hear that that this has been an ongoing problem going on in the PC community, or the PC platform as a platform, and that the fanboys of the platform don't want you to know, and it's this big problem, and they're gonna dislike the video after they hear this big secret revealed. So basically he's trying to get people to anchor onto that piece of information and use that to agree with the rest of his video. Another thing is, he's taking everything to extremes, as a lot of fanboys do. First of all, he calls us all fanboys for defending our platform. Secondly, he assumes that every single person who disagrees with him would hit that dislike button, and then go cry home to their little mommies about how their fifis were hurt, when really they're just partaking in a discussion, trying to correct the misinformation Mr. RatedD is spewing out of his mouth and gob and have his chin on the floor. But yeah, that's that.
But in my eyes right now, it seems to me like the big problem with PC gaming...
Please don't be something stupid. Please don't be something stupid. Please don't be something stupid.
...is the amount of options.
So in other words, PC gaming is too complicated for you? As real PC gamers would know, this is just not true. Everyone keeps overestimating the complications and the problems of PC when they do perhaps exist, but only to a certain extent. For example, I haven't had to deal with any computer problems since my third year. This is my third year or fourth year or so of having this PC. Right? And it's a laptop Dell Inspiron 3737, as I mention all the time. It's a very shitty PC, but it can still run almost all of my 203 games. And by almost all, I mean the ones that run are actually like 30 FPS and runnable. Not things like, they crash all the time and it's bitching and whatever. No. The only time I ever had to fix a crash was, it was the GTA 4 Secure ROM Launcher error, which I just had to install the newest version of DirectX. Literally 5 minutes.
I mean, when I sit here and I think about something like the Assassin's Creed Unity fiasco...
Keep in mind, this was both on the console and the PC, not on just one.
Where characters didn't have their faces, this and that, all these different bugs and glitches.
In the first video I did on TheRatedD, he stated specifically that the console port had its fair share of problems. While it didn't have the particular problems PC had, it still had insane performance issues, complete texture issues. Looking at a stained glass wall would get you 10 FPS. I mean, there was a ton of problems that made the console port almost unplayable as well. So again, this is a double-edged sword.
And it's not just with Unity, it's with a bunch of different games that this type of stuff goes on.
Name one example of a AAA game that is not working or is unplayable on many, many, many builds of the PC. Okay? This means that a lot of people are having this problem. Almost a majority of people are having a problem. For example, Unity levels of people are having this problem. I'm not talking about someone like me with a shitty 3737 tries to play Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry and is getting like 15 FPS on it. I'm not talking about those kinds of problems. I'm talking about, people with gaming rigs unable to play a game, or the game itself is broken, flawed, etc. Again, this is not the PC's problem. This is the developer's problem. This is their fault for not making the game the way it was meant to be made, or they made some sort of glitch on their side. It's not the PC's fault that certain games can't run on it on certain builds. Take, for instance, Far Cry 4. That game was made and optimized for AMD hardware. Though NVIDIA hardware could still play it, it was at much less performance and much less graphical fidelity than AMD parts. Because, again, this is optimization problems. This has nothing to do with the PC.
It's just Unity became a big deal, for the mainstream crowd.
Yeah, but that was like 2 or 3 years ago. Get with the times, man.
But the fact of the matter is this. These bugs and glitches only occur for certain people with certain setups for their PCs.
Let me take a step back and introduce you, RatedD, to the concept of system requirements. System requirements are posted on every single game on the PC, telling you what hardware can run it, what could run it, and what can't run it. Let me bring an example. Those, my friends, are the system requirements for Killing Floor 2. They tell you the bare minimum you need in order to run this game, and they tell you your recommended specs. Those are the ones that run the game at 60 FPS, 1080p, max settings, right? Or at least high. Now, as you can see on the left-hand side in the minimum, it says unsupported hardware, Intel HD integrated graphics chips, 32-bit operating systems, and NVIDIA Flex features require a GeForce GTX 770 and higher. By the way, 770 it goes up, okay? So there's not a card, under 770 that is powered. Like the 760 is not more powerful than the 770, okay? Because they go by generations. So it's really easy to read graphics cards names and figure out which one you have and how much better it is than the GTX 770. For example, it says here the 980 is recommended. So if you have a 970, it's probably close enough, right? So you need 3 gigabytes of RAM, blah, 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 right? But, now let me tell you, I have no graphics card. I have Intel HD integrated graphics. Now as I look here, I was considering buying Killing Floor 2, but then I looked at the system requirements to make sure that my system can run it. And by the way, I can read this shit in 5 seconds. It's not that difficult. So you go down to additional notes, and it says that Intel HD integrated graphics chips are unsupported hardware. I don't know what that means. It might be, the graphics might not look right, or character models might be missing on these graphics chips. In any case, I didn't buy it. I made an educated, informed decision to not buy this game because it told me that my setup, my Intel HD integrated graphics chip setup thing that's going on in my computer, would not be able to run this game. Alright? Now, I don't have the, I didn't look it up why that's the case. I didn't look up, the reasons for it. But it tells me in the system requirements that it's not supported hardware. Okay? So it might not run the game, it might not show things right, it might not this, that, or the other thing. But, again, all it takes is system requirements search. Look, I'll go for Far Cry 4 now. As far as these system requirements are concerned, it does not say specifically that NVIDIA graphics card, GeForce GTX graphics cards, are unsupported. However, it does say laptop versions of these cards may work, but are not officially supported. See, all it takes is a quick look at the system requirements, and you can see which cards can run a game, okay? And it says the minimum is a GeForce GTX 460 or AMD Radeon HD 5850, okay? So, and it needs 1 gigabyte of VRAM. So that means you must have a graphics card of those series or higher with at least 1 gigabyte of VRAM, okay? That's all you need to look at. It's not that difficult to do. And it's right there at the bottom of every game. How fucking convenient. And if you get a physical copy, it's on the back. To sum it all up, it is true that not every game is going to run on every computer, alright? There are boundaries, obviously. However, being on the PC means you're going to make educated, informed buying decisions about products that you inspect before you buy the game, alright? You need to do your research, look at the system requirements, and then buy the game. And if you don't like it or if it doesn't run, you have 2 weeks to refund it on Steam.
If you have one particular graphics card, something may go wrong.
It is a console peasant mindset to look at something and assume it's going to work. As an educated consumer with an informed buying decision, it is a needle in a haystack rare that you will buy a game that does not work on the PC unless it is the developer's fault. You're not going to buy a Christmas tree that's too tall to fit in your house, so why would you buy a PC game and assume it's going to work? You have to do your measurements first.
Whatever, all these different things. The fact that you have so many options for PC and you don't have just one specific system to develop for like you do with consoles.
Yeah, one set of restrictive, basic, weak sauce hardware.
That's the big problem with PC gaming, dude.
Well, that's just like saying Christmas sucks because there's so many different trees to choose from for this medium-sized house, okay? You have a medium-sized house, and you buy a small Christmas tree, of course it's going to work. Of course it's going to fit in that house. But you're only going to be able to put 5 ornaments on it. But if you buy a really large tree, something that's not going to work for your house, and it's too tall, you didn't do your measurements, you were ignorant, and the tree just doesn't fit, and that is your fault. You will need a tall house to put a tall tree in it. Now, let me turn this analogy back into gaming, okay? You can buy a console, and you can put a game in it and expect every single game to work, alright? Because you have a console, and you're putting a small tree into every single console. But you're only going to be able to put so much effort into having fun with it, right? There's only going to be so much graphical fidelity, so many ornaments, right? Just 5 ornaments. Whereas on the tall tree, you can put a million different ornaments on it. The tall house being the PC and the tall tree being the epic game that is demanding and needs effort to run. Small trees and medium trees will fit in a large house, but tall trees are going to look the best in a tall house. Hopefully this analogy was good enough to understand the difference between, the consoles and the PC. There's so many options on the PC, correct, but you need to make sure your house is big enough for the tree that you're buying.
If you had, just one set, system.
But what fun are cookie cutter houses? Alright, well, I'm gonna drop that analogy now.
You won't be having so many problems with PC.
Or you as a consumer can make sure that the game is gonna work before you buy it.
I have to upgrade these drivers or...
See, that past statement shows exactly how much you know about PC. Drivers are a non-issue today, alright? Maybe you should get your big mouth on a fucking PC and try, alright? Seriously, you have not tried a PC in your life. This statement right here just shows how much you know.
Oh yeah, this graphics card, what...
Your slurred speech makes you barely comprehensible. Maybe you should sober up before you do a video. In any event, if you look at the system requirements for your favorite games, you'll get an idea of what you need in order to run that game. Or if you just have a common knowledge at this point, because being on the PC, you just have a knowledge of the technology because you pay attention to the news. That's something you do on the PC. So when you pay attention to the news, you know what graphics cards can run which games. For example, GTX 980 can run almost every game in 60 FPS, 1080p, even 1440p. If you want a cheap but reliable experience, get the 770 or the 780. This just came off the top of my head. Alright? The 770 runs many modern games at least 30 FPS, 1080p. See, this is something you would know if you played on PC and paid attention to the shit that happens on PC. You, on the other hand, you are uneducated, and you should not be speaking about this topic because you don't know shit about it.
Like, dude, just get a console and be done with it, dude.
TheRatedD, I hope you are interpreting what you are saying. You are suggesting to a wiser community, someone who obviously has more research and knowledge than you do in terms of the PC, someone as ignorant as you is claiming to someone as wise as me to switch to a weak sauce console just because it's too complicated for you. Maybe, if you were a little bit more educated about the matters of PC, you could have a stance in this discussion. However, you are obviously too ignorant to even say anything about it. You just said drivers are an issue on PC. I haven't had to deal with drivers in 3 years. And I have a weak sauce PC.
It's pathetic when I really look at some of these PC fanboys that want to sit there and complain, oh, you didn't develop the game for my specific custom setup, so I'm going to boycott your game or I'm going to pirate it.
Seriously, why do you think this happens on the PC? If someone knows that a game can't run on their PC, they are not going to buy it, or if they already bought it, they would refund it. Why would PC gamers boycott a game? It's like, hey, I can't run a game, I'm just a little bitch, so don't play this game. Just because I am too stupid and I didn't have the right parts to play this game, you shouldn't either. PC gamers are all about inclusion. They're all about sharing experiences, even the ones they themselves can't have. Why would they take this experience away from others? We're not console peasants. We don't like to keep games from other platforms, alright? We're not into this whole sales war thing that's going on in the console wars. Also, hello, if you pirate a game and it doesn't work on your PC, then what's the fucking point? I mean, you knew from buying it that it wouldn't work on your PC. What would a pirated version do? Not work on your PC.
Like, come on, dude.
See, your misrepresentation of the PC community is so unbelievable even to you. You invented a dragon that was so easy to slay and so easy to ridicule that you didn't even need to come up with an actual argument against the PC community. You just said, oh, because PC gamers are obviously like this, they're a bunch of whiny crybabies on the PC, when really we're just educated consumers. We're educated consumers. I don't know what you are talking about. We're not 12-year-olds on a PC. I, for one, am 15, and I know a lot more about PC than you do. That should say something. This next part, by the way, is not a true fact, but it seems to me that a lot of console peasants that participate in this console versus PC war are stupider than the people that accept the console as it is and just shut their mouth up about it. I mean, they accept that the PC is better, they just prefer console, and that's fine. It's people like you that we ridicule.
Anyway, so that's it for this video, guys. Like I said, PC gaming has its fair share of flaws. Don't act like, options is a good thing.
I think what you're trying to say here is options are a good thing, but they're not for everyone. And again, this is totally understandable. If you don't want to get on PC, because you think that it's too complicated, or you just don't have the time for PC for some reason, or you just don't want to educate yourself or don't want to get into the whole PC culture thing, that's fine. Again, I can't argue preference, but you can't go around and say that options in and of themselves are bad, okay? Options are a great thing. It promotes competition. It promotes marketing. It boosts the economy. It leads to cheaper games. It leads to technological advancements on the PC. Just take, for example, NVIDIA and AMD. They are competing. They are trying to, for lack of a better term, they are having an arms race, okay? They're trying to be better than each other. That's why NVIDIA came out with a Titan X. That means AMD has to come out with something that pars it and make it cheaper. So not only are there technological advancements, but it's also getting cheaper. Now, the next minute of your video is obnoxious trumpet playing, so I'll be sure to end the video right here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have criticisms of my argument, or you have support or whatever, leave it in the comments, and I'd be glad to hear from you. Other than that, peace off. Peace out. Whatever the lingo is.